it's really important for other people in this industry to sit back and understand. Stop selling a product. You're an experienced professional. Take your time, sit down, understand your patient, and then get going.
That's a good example of outsourcing. We've spoken about it many, many times. And if it's not your skill set, it's okay, but find someone who does do that and can support you and explain it to you in your language. Because otherwise, as a business owner, you can really be flying blind.
I always go back to this 80-20 rule, which is that if I look at 100 people's businesses' financials, almost everyone's going to derive 80% of their income from about 20% of the treatments that they do. So sometimes easy to get distracted with all the new toys, but if you just look at what's bringing in the majority of your income, it's probably toxin and your basic treatments.
It's all well and good being really good injector, but if you can't manage the business side of things, then you will fail. Because you've got a good clientele doesn't mean that you're going to have a profitable business.
Welcome to Inside Aesthetics, the world's leading podcast for cosmetic practitioners and business owners.
Our podcasts are aimed at medical professionals and should not be used to make medical, legal, or financial decisions. You should get an appropriately tailored piece of advice from a professional in your country.
To show your support and stay up to date with our latest episodes, click the follow button if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And if you're watching our episodes on YouTube, hit the subscribe button as well as the bell icon.
If you're interested in joining our online community, being a guest on the podcast, or would like to work with us, all of our contact details are in the show notes. And now, let's jump into today's episode.
Welcome to another episode of Inside Aesthetics, the world's leading podcast for injectors and cosmetic businesses. How are you today, mate?
I'm good, buddy. We've got someone in the studio, special guest, all the way from Ireland, but now living in Australia.
Yes.
We are doing Business of Injecting episode.
Chapter 22.
We haven't done one in a little while, and this is an interesting one because Aisling, welcome, first of all.
Thank you very much for having me.
First of all, you're part of our wonderful Patreon community, so thank you for all your support.
Which is ending soon.
Because our new app is, I don't know, will it have launched by the time we discuss this?
I reckon, well, let's just call this now. I reckon it's going to be out in April.
Yeah.
So whenever this is out, our new app will be launched in April.
Yes. You're a registered nurse from here in Australia, originally from Ireland. We're going to find out all about your background. And you've got an interesting story because you and I had a bit of contact a few years ago. You were a nurse injector working within a doctor-led practice here in Sydney in Paddington, which is about 15 minutes down the road from where we are right now. And an opportunity came up for you to buy that practice. And so you already had your existing clientele or your existing patients that were coming to see you. And we're just talking about, the risks of starting your own business in terms of like inheriting it from somebody else and all the potential things that can go wrong. So I guess that was my job to sort of say, well, these are things you need to look out for, looking at financials, leases and so on. Now it's probably about 12 months since that transaction has gone through. And I guess we're going to talk about that today. Yes. What was the process like? How's your business going today? Maybe we'll reflect on some of the things that went wrong, all the things that went right. And just give people an insight as to, what this process looks like. Want to add anything to that, Joe?
No, not at all. So why don't we introduce you first of all as a person, as an injector, as a mum. Tell everyone about your story.
Yeah, my name is Aisling. Yes, I'm originally from Ireland. I haven't lost my accent. I've been here since 2013. I qualified as a nurse in Ireland in 2012, moved here for a year and quickly fell in love with this beautiful country. Yeah. Had some great opportunities. And worked, so I've been a registered nurse now for 14 years and 7 of those years I've been in this cosmetic space.
And why did you move to Australia?
Travel. Just, from a small village in County Kerry, about 600 people, so it was nice to get out of that and kind of move to the other side of the world. Didn't think I'd last this long. I thought I was going to go home after 6 months, but here we are.
How did your parents take that? Most of my Irish patients, they all end up going home because they miss their parents. So what's going to happen with you? Oh
God, I've really supportive family back home in Ireland, and you miss them terribly, obviously, but you end up creating your own life, your own family, and that becomes your network then. Yeah. And you have to do what's right for you.
I think that's very sensible.
They're very supportive of that.
So when you got to Australia, what were some of the initial cultural differences? Because you have a lot of Irish people here. If anyone hasn't been to Australia, they might be mistaken for actually being in Ireland if they went down to Coogee or Bondi. Yeah. So what were the big things for you that you noticed different or the same?
Oh, I feel like the Irish community really sticks together here, you know. County Coogee, County Bondi, and you quickly find your own people. And I was early 20s, so I was just having the best time of my life, partying and getting on with it and showing up to work and doing what I needed to do. And yeah, just enjoying Australia and everything it had to offer. Like, I didn't really think of the long-term plan at that time. You know, I was just enjoying life. I think it was very different from what I'd grown up around, and there was so much more to do and see and travel, and I was just enjoying that period of my life until I got to probably late 20s, and I was like, okay, what are you doing now? Are you staying, are you going, or what are you doing?
Yeah. And with your nursing, when you moved here, what were you doing? What department, what ward?
Yeah, so I joined an agency actually, and do you know what, it was great because I'm very much a person that's likes to do different things. You know, I always like to be challenged. I get bored if I'm in one spot for too long. So background surgical and then anaesthetics and recovery. So I kind of went along that, and then I actually moved into IVF in the city, and I worked there for 4 years. Yeah, and I was just... I really liked that, is what I'm trying to say. I really liked being able to opportunity to move around and go to all these different specialities and find what I actually liked. Did I like anything too long to work in it for that line into time? No. Did I like night shifts? No. You know, I was kind of, okay, what's next? I was always looking for what's next. And then, yeah, I love skin. I love the science behind it. And I love, I suppose, skincare and like the ingredients and how that can actually really transform someone's skin. So, you know, that had me interested. Did not know about nurses being in this space, like back when I was looking into it at all. Didn't know it was an area that you could get into. So that was a big transition for me, because you know what, in all jokes aside, reality, it's complete different than nursing. Like ward nursing, anything I've ever done before. I've had to learn at a fast pace and adapt myself to different things, dealing with different types of people. You know, they're not essentially sick, so you're charging now people. You know, it's very different, very different.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, there's a big paradigm shift, isn't there? From, I guess, need-based medicine to want-based medicine. I think there's a big sort of mindset shift that a lot of people struggle with, transitioning from the healthcare system or the public healthcare system to this industry. So what was your first foray into this space? Like when you started finding about injectables, and, you know, who were your first teachers and mentors, and, you know, just talk to us about the early years of, you know, really getting stuck into this space.
Yeah. So just to preface, I worked 3 jobs to make this one work. You know, it wasn't easy. Didn't have any family support. You know, did it all very much my own. As a single woman, you know, trying to navigate what am I doing with my life. And I was facilitating nursing students at the time, so I loved education, I loved space. And then I was also working in anaesthetics and recovery in St. Vincent's Hospital. Back in 2017, I actually did that weekend course, how to become a cosmetic injector. And of course they tell you, here you go, off you go, you can open up your own clinic. I was like, this is bizarre, like absolutely bizarre. I can tell you I didn't do that. And I suppose having that clinical experience, I knew that I wasn't able to do that. You know, you need, now I definitely know you can't do that, you know. There's a lot of learning behind it. So when I did that course, I did nothing for about a year. I was still working as a nurse in the clinical setting. And a girl approached me who was working in a cosmetic practice. She's Irish, and she reached out to me and she's like, hey, I think are you in this way? Are you interested in skin? I thought I saw something on your personal Instagram or something. And I said, oh God, yeah, but sure, like I haven't a clue. And she said, come in, there's a doctor that would really like to have a chat with you. You know, I've spoken to him about you, and I think, you know, come in and have a chat. So I didn't know what to expect. So I went into this clinic, sat down with the doctor across the way, very casual interview. And he was asking me all about myself and, you know, and basically gave me a shot. He kind of said to me, he was like, I'd love to take you on. I was like, I'll tell you now, hands up, I have no knowledge, no experience. I'm as green as the grass in Ireland. So you got to show me the way here. And I suppose I was blessed and so invaluable, but I was mentored for 2 years by him and worked under him for 4 years. To eventually in the same practice that I now own. Yeah. So, it's incredible. And to have that opportunity looking back now, you know, was really invaluable, because a lot of people look for that, don't they? And people don't have the time to offer, to train, to mentor people. Like, what is your time? How much is your time worth, you know, to give someone that education and that support continuous. Yeah. So I was working in the hospital, finished at St. Finni's, run down the road to Paddington, sit in his consults, sit there, hoover up everything like a vacuum and learn from the very best. That's who's been in the industry over 20 years.
I was going to ask, what did that 4 years look like? What were you doing? How did you pick up practical skills? Yeah,
which is great. He always said to me, he's like, I love how you love the science. He gave me an anatomy book. He said, go home and study it. I'm going to come in. I'm going to ask you questions. I'm going to ask you where all the arteries are. I'm going to do all of that. Really honed in on the science of skincare as well. It was a heavily focused skin clinic with injectables as a side. And he was like, you need to understand the ingredients. So, there's no point you doing all this if you don't know what you're talking about and what you're saying, because people will understand. They'll know straight away. If you haven't a clue what you're talking about, shut up, basically. So that was how we got in that. And then I think I started injecting tox first, really, and understand the muscle anatomy of the face. He was like, it's not that hard. Watch how the muscles move. Stop thinking of a book learning. Look at the muscles, watch where they kick in, watch where they relax. Use your common sense here, inject where you need to be, all those little things that like people forget about and they're just learning from the book and dot points and all that. It's like, look at a person's face. Yeah. I think that was really invaluable, again, I'll say, because sitting there with his consults, I watched how he assessed a face, which, you need to know how to do that. If you can't do that, then you can't be in this space. So, and also listening to your patients, what do they want, while also not overdoing it and not overselling something just because you need to get rid of a product or you want to try this new treatment or whatever, and getting confident in knowing your anatomy. Yeah. So for those 2 years with him, I don't think I injected any filler. I was just tox, skincare, learning the devices in the clinic. And then eventually he actually trained me in Sculptra first. Before any real fillers, I think, thinking back maybe. And then I just gradually took one each time just to kind of get confident in it. And I'm the biggest critic of myself. So I'll always stop myself. If I don't know something, I'm not going to do it. If I think I'm unsafe or I think that's unsafe, I'm not going to do it. I know there's people who are experts in their own areas, so I'll refer to them if I'm not too sure. And I've always kept that at the forefront of my injecting and my ability. I do think now I'm a very confident injector, very safe. I know my anatomy. I've bettered myself over the years. I've done so much self-learning. My own courses, I've funded a lot of that myself. And built a very steady clientele, a very loyal clientele, which I will say are about 80% Irish. And I pride myself on, my work ethic, my determination, and what I want to be out of this, what I want to do, and where I see myself going.
Sounds very sensible and like the perfect mentorship. Yeah. We've spoken about that many times and people don't often get that. So yeah, it sounds great.
Yeah. So obviously you're not just an injector, you're not just a business owner, you're a wife, you're a mum.
Yes.
And this is a question that often comes up. How do you balance all those different pressures in your life and the things that are important to you?
I think that has probably been the biggest challenge and the biggest win at the same time for myself, in the sense that I'm able to juggle all the hats, but yet try not to get overwhelmed by everything. Because you know what? I want to give 100% to everything. And I know I can't. I can't be 100% in my work and also be 100% of a mum and 100% to my partner or, everything else involved. So I have to, I suppose, sit back, understand what I can give, what I can do. And when the opportunity came around even to take over the ownership of the clinic, I was like, am I ready for this? There's never going to be a right time, but was I ready right now for this? Was my child an okay age for me to be able to be working more, that she doesn't need me as much? She's 3. And I was like, okay, now is probably the right time to kind of pour myself into it. I have an incredible supportive, he's my fiance, we're not married yet.
No pressure, hurry up, buddy. Yeah.
I just don't have the time to organise this.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah.
Again, that falls on you. But yeah, it's balancing. It is a juggling act. It is a juggling act. but I love it. I secretly thrive on chaos. I really do. I thrive on being busy. Love being busy. I hate being like, if a patient cancels last minute, oh my God, it irks me. Not just because they've cancelled, but because I'm bored out of my tree for half an hour, 45 minutes or an hour, whatever it may be. I love being back to back. I love being busy. I love getting on with it, because if I slow down, I get tired, I get bored. I don't want to be bored.
Yeah. So you just said you hate being bored.
Yes.
Now you're a business owner.
Yeah, I'm definitely not bored now.
Okay, so maybe just talk to us. What's the biggest difference? And we're going to get into the details of how you bought the business. But I guess just as an overview, what's been the biggest change for you from, I guess, graduating, might be a good term, from being clinical only to now wearing the business hat as well?
Yeah, very difficult one.
Yeah.
Scared me a lot. Like, how was I going to manage it all? What was I going to do? How does it all work? You know, I know I'm good at what I'm good at. Like, I'm really good at skin, injectables and treating patients safely and, you know, having chats with them and doing all of that side of things. But the business is so different, isn't it? You, like, I am terrible, like, at P&Ls and understanding all of that. So I suppose that was my biggest concern taking over this, was like, how much time am I going, do I need to do another business course now to learn all about this? And you know, that was quite overwhelming, because I was like, okay, that's the only drawback here, you know what I mean? Because then if I have to devote so much time to that side of things, then I won't be able to bring money in. I won't be able to treat my patients effectively, you know, navigating all that. I will say my husband to be, he looks after all of that for me. And he does this in his own line of work. So having him doing all of that for me, I'm able to focus on what I'm good at. And we sit down every, like, maybe twice a month.
Great.
Definitely the end of the month. And we go through end of month P&Ls, going through what's costing, you know, what we need to look at, where's the money going, you know, invoicing. I look after that all throughout the month, obviously, and, you know, 30 days things and all of that. But by the end of the month, we sit down and we collaborate together and like what we need to do moving forward.
That's a good example of outsourcing. We've spoken about it many, many times. And if it's not your skill set, it's okay. But find someone who does do that and can support you and explain it to you in your language.
Yes.
Because otherwise, you know, as a business owner, you can really be flying blind.
Yeah, and also having like your accountant, your bookkeeper, all of those kind of things, you need to have all those set up and in the right place before you're taking on this, I think, and understanding what things are costing you, as opposed to like actually doing your service as well.
Yeah.
You know, you have a lot of overheads now. It's not just you independently. You're looking after rent and staff and paying employees and stock and everything else. So navigating, making sure that there's enough money there to do all of that, and that I'm still working, so you're the one that's bringing in the revenue. So you need to make sure that you're on the ball as well, that you're doing the best you can do.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I know that you guys did a bit of consulting. Yeah. David does business consulting. So what were those initial conversations like?
So when I felt like this opportunity might present itself, I kind of was like, right, I need to get on the forefront here, because I have no idea about business. And I was obviously a member of your IA Patreon group at the time. And I had seen that David, like, I didn't know much about David or yourself, Jake, at the time, to be honest. I thought IA was amazing to gain insight. It has been, but obviously for this reason alone. But I was able to reach out to you guys and able to ask the questions. What do I need to ask the current owners? What do I need to look out for? What should I set myself up before I actually sign on the dotted line? You know, those kind of things, setting things in place. Am I ready for this? Actually, just even talking about that, you know, like, yeah, it's all well and good being really good injector, but if you can't manage the business side of things, then you will fail. You know, your business will fail. It's not going to, just because you've got a good clientele doesn't mean that you're going to have a profitable business. So all those things were really helpful to me back then when I reached out to you initially. And we sat down, we had a chat. You talked about like, okay, this is what we need to do, or this is what you should do. And get all your information together and then sit down and reevaluate and see where you're going from there. So there's lots of things that had to happen before I even signed on the dotted line to take over ownership. Obviously working in the practice and being there, my clients all knew where I was like I was moving. So everything still functioned as was. I still showed up every day, still worked, did my own thing. But in the evening time, I was going home and I was working on the business then. I was like, okay, this is what needs to happen now. I need to engage in lawyers. I need to get all this. I need to make sure my accountants know what I'm doing. Am I changing from me as a sole entity now to a company? You know, all these kind of things had to take place. So, and that doesn't just happen overnight. It's a thing that's gradual and it's like long and it's tedious and it's okay, now this person, I need to talk to this person for an hour, you know, so it takes times out of your injecting day then, or you're seeing patients, and yeah, so it was a lot, but was it worth it? 100%.
Can I set the scene? Because you guys maybe have some assumed information given you've worked together. So you're working for a doctor.
Yes.
This is what, 2022?
So 2019, I started there.
Right.
Yeah.
And then for a couple of years, you're a contractor effectively.
Yes.
And then at some point, the business comes up for sale.
Yes.
Because the doctor was unwell, I heard.
Yes.
And so did he come straight to you?
He was looking to retire. And I was pregnant at the time, so I was in no way, shape or form to take on a business. And I was so junior, like I really was. Like I was literally I had a good clientele at that stage, but I wasn't confident in my own ability.
Yeah.
You know, I still needed to work on me. There was lots of things I wanted to do. I still wanted to do a few more education and development, personal development, professional development. I just knew I wasn't ready. Had my baby and came back to work within 8 weeks.
Oh my goodness.
Just to keep my clients.
Yeah.
And worked really hard, doubled down. At that time, they had taken on some more nurses in the clinic, obviously, because they didn't know how long I was going to be out. I came back, they effectively left. And then it was me and the new owners at the time who purchased from Dr. Robert Gilmore. And they were great, and everything still was the same for me. Nothing changed. They were super supportive of me being a new mum, and I was still a contractor and enjoyed. So there's a lot to be said going in, doing your work and going home. That was very different. And then, yeah, they had their own businesses as well. So they really wanted to focus on that. And the opportunity came up and I was like, I'd love to maybe step into this. And they said, I thought you'd never ask. Yeah. So it was a real natural progression, I think, to that stage. Good. But like also, you know, they've been so supportive and still are to this day of me. And I'm so grateful for that, because I think that's very rare in this industry, to have people who are supportive and look out and genuinely want to see you do well, genuinely want to like look out for you and look after you. And, you know, obviously not having my family here, I do see them as family as well in a way. And, you know, I take everyone at face value. And I think that like I've really valued their insight into business as well, telling me what I need to do, telling me what I need to get set up, and just being honest with me as well. And like I remember saying, I was like, do you think I'm ready for this? And they were like, absolutely 100% you are, and we'll be there every step of the way to support you.
Nice.
That was amazing to hear. So yeah.
If I can ask David a question. So a business comes up for sale, and I don't know how you value that and how you decide if the value is correct, but what things should Ashley be thinking at this point? Like what does she need to do to interrogate whether that's a good offer? And what does she need to put into place?
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, first of all, you've got the asking price that the seller is wanting to acquire for the practice. So, I mean, there are some basic calculations that you look at in terms of, well, how do you value a business in this industry? So generally, the valuation we based on, depending on the risk profile of the business, which we'll get to a little bit later, it's around about, 2 to 3.5 times what your profit is per year. So for example, if your business is making $200,000 profit a year, let's say it's valued at around, somewhere between 500,000 and 600,000, probably something along those lines. Now, what can be the wildcard factors in terms of whether that business is worth more or less than that basic calculation is how much risk is in the business. So for example, if you were buying a business from someone and you're looking at that revenue stream, and that revenue stream is coming from, say, one person, and that person happens to be the person that's selling the business, then there's a lot of risk there, because we don't know that those patients are just automatically going to be happy to up and move to this new person that's buying the business. So that risk can then make that basic valuation calculation go down. So first of all, we need to work out, okay, what are we buying? How's that revenue split moving between different income providers within the practice, and what's going to change if I buy this business? You know, who's going to come and go? And then you sort of say, okay, well, this risk means that I actually can't afford to pay this much for it because this is something that potentially could go wrong. So looking at the basic valuation. And then you start looking at, okay, well, you know, the business is got this many income providers. You want to look at, you know, what's the relationship with the people that are in the business in terms of who might stay, who might go. You want to look at things like the lease. So if you're taking over an existing business, obviously, unless the person owns the building, they're leasing it from a landlord. So how much time is left on that lease? Is the owner of the property happy for you to take over that lease or transfer it to you? You obviously want to look at the financials for the last few years. It's not just about the profitability of the business, but you also want to look at like what's the net equity or what's the business got in terms of assets and liabilities. So the cash flow might be great, but then you got to look at, okay, well, what does the business have in the bank in terms of savings? What does it owe to, you know, suppliers? Does it owe any money to the government for taxes? You want to make sure there's no insurance claims that are sort of hanging around in the background that could, you know, if you take over that business, that all of a sudden becomes your headache. All those types of things you want to have a look at. And then once you've got all your ducks in a row and you've got, okay, your financials, okay, the profitability is this, okay, these are the people that might come and go when the business ownership changes, okay, I know how much risk is there, any bad debts, like you just sort of line up all these different factors and then you kind of go, okay, well, what are the worst possible things that could happen here? And this is something that a lot of people don't think about. They get caught up in the excitement of owning a business and this is going to be fantastic and it's all going to go great. But you kind of have to be the devil's advocate a little bit and go, okay, well, this is all the great things about the business, but these are all the things that could really go bad.
And that's why I think I spoke to you that time as well, to like understand that. Because although it's amazing and it's like, oh my God, this is a new opportunity. Was I really ready for this? Like was I able to do all of this? So yeah.
And so you need to think about, okay, well, and this is why, you know, it might be good to talk to someone like whether it's a business coach or if you've got like a really savvy accountant or a business mentor and say, okay, well, these are all the things that are great, perfect, but what if these things go wrong?
Yep.
And they might not be deal enders. They might not be, you know, so bad that you don't decide to go ahead, but you've thought about them.
Yeah.
Because what tends to happen is people go into these situations with like rose-colored glasses and everything looks great, and then something goes wrong that they weren't prepared for, and then they panic.
Yeah.
And when you panic, you make bad decisions. You go into a flight or fight mode, your frontal cortex shuts down, you become a dumber version of yourself and you don't know what to do, and then that's when things can get out of control. So it's almost about preemptively thinking about all the things that can go wrong and going, I'm in a calm state of mind now. I know if this happens, I've got a contingency. I've thought about this in advance. So you actually just go into an autopilot.
Yeah. I still think you do that even now, even when you're owning a business, you're still thinking of that all the time. So, you know, I totally agree with you there 100% on that. But yeah, having all those, you know, people in place and understanding and trying to get a handle on all of the numbers and everything else in the background before actually deciding this is what I'm going to do, then that was, you need to know your stuff. You need to ask the people if you don't know, or pay people.
And what conversations happened at home with your fiance? I don't know if you had savings to do this or...
You know, I think I was coming to the end of my tenure in the sense of I did want something else. I was getting itchy feet. I was like, okay, like, you know, this is like what it was like when I was in the clinical space. Okay, now I want to challenge myself again. What am I doing? So, you know, it's a lot to now fit out a practice and get all the approvals, and, you know, that was going to be more cost and more money. And then setting up a new space, and you're moving, and then the clientele and all this. So when that opportunity arose to take over restoration medicine, I was like, okay, well, that's one thing that I don't have to worry about. So maybe this would be ideal. You know, nothing changes for my patients. It'll still function. They don't need to know anything. And I just wake up one day and now I'm the owner, not just the contractor.
And so what have been like the biggest moments of, I guess, realization that things are different? Was there any things that went wrong that you weren't accounting on?
Do you know what? I still walk into the clinic more times than not, and I just think I'm still a contractor. I have an amazing staff, an amazing team. I'm supportive all around me, including my husband. And I suppose the biggest challenge, is that what you're asking? Is that the biggest challenge? Biggest challenge is changing the hats between working in it, working on it, working behind it, then going home and then being a mum. And doing that all the time and taking on more hours than what I was used to. As I said, it's great going in, doing your work and going home and not having to think about it. Yes, you always think about your patients, but you know, you don't have to think about all the other things that you need to follow up on, your employees, your staff and payroll and, you know, this person needs a time off. Okay, now I need to get someone for this and now I need to cover that. And, you know, understanding I'm changing the systems in the clinic at the moment and, you know, how all that works. So, yeah, all of that has been challenging, but rewarding at the same time. And, yeah, I'm loving each second of it, to be honest. Like, it's really satisfying my appetite at the moment for, like, that growth. And I can see it, so I'm running at it. But, like, I'm also very aware that don't know everything. I know that I need help on things. So I acknowledge what I'm good at and then seek help where I'm not so good at.
So what's a typical week? How many hours or days are you injecting versus admin versus other stuff that goes on?
4 injecting days and I have 2 admin days. One, my Friday is clinic. I'm in the clinic, but I'm doing all the background stuff. And then the rest are injecting. So
can you give us a window of what does an admin day look like? Do you structure it? Is it just what's on the desk, emails?
No, I do structure it. I have something to do every week. Whether that be, you know, we have a weekly catch up with staff, sit down, what's going on, anything that needs to be brought to my attention is brought on the Friday so I can action it before then the following week. You know, paying invoices, whatever that may be, following up, oh my God, the reps and the people that just come in the door all the time with like, oh, do you see this new device? So I'm like, oh my God, I was not prepared for that. So that's a day where I'm like, okay, looking at maybe what are they bringing in? What do I need to look at? There's been obviously lots of stuff coming out into the industry this last 12 months. I'm trying to shut out that noise and just focus on what we already do well. But yeah, it's in the month usually it comes around very quickly, so I'm trying to get all that sorted for my husband so he can sit down. Usually once we've got our child in bed, we're on the computer until like 10 or 11 o'clock at night working through that for a couple of nights, and then it's just it's busy, but it's
there is a lot of noise, isn't there? And there's so much innovation in the industry, which is so good because we're, you know, able to do things we weren't able to do before, and there's so many new tools that you guys have. But I always go back to this 80-20 rule, which is that if I look at 100 people's businesses' financials, almost everyone's going to derive 80% of their income from about 20% of the treatments that they do. So it's sometimes easy to get distracted with all the new toys, but if you just look at what's bringing in the majority of your income, it's probably, you know, toxin is going to be like the most of it, and your basic treatments.
My lasers. I'm heavily skin focused in my clinic. I would actually go to say 60% skin now and 40% injectables. I'd seen a big shift in that over the last few years, I think, as well, and I think I see that happening more. I think it's going to become more heavily energy-based focused, and then our tweakments with the injectable side of things as well.
So is that you personally doing 60% of those treatments, or the clinic?
The clinic.
Right.
Clinic. Yeah.
Okay, so what does your injecting day look like? What's your clientele made up of? What are they asking for?
Yeah, toxin, biostims. I do a lot of Sculptra. I do filler, but you know, it's more about structure, creating that structure. And then when I get a patient in, I always say, like, what is their main concern? You know, I'm always looking at the skin. I always just go to the skin first, and then we work from there. So I'm always saying about your skin is your blanket that's on top of everything. So if that looks terrible, that's the first thing people are going to notice, not about you're missing a cheek, you know, kind of thing. So let's talk about all of these kind of things first, and then we can work on that, because I do it all. So I was like, we can really improve the clarity and texture and brightness of your skin, for example. If it's scarring, we can improve that. And then, yes, if you're conscious of like lines and wrinkles and volume and other things, we can also address that. So I think they work hand in hand. And I think injectors in this space really need to look at skin as well. And if they don't have skin already, and they don't, I think you need to learn about it, understand it, because it is a component, a very big component of your injectables.
Yeah.
And you're missing out on that as well. It's really rewarding. Like, I actually find that more rewarding than giving someone some beautiful lips or some, you know, no wrinkles and different things. So when they come in and they're like, oh my God, everyone's talking about how good my skin is. Like, I feel great. I deal with a lot of problematic skin issues. So a lot of acne, papustular rosacea, things like that, things that they've been doing wrong for so long. And when you give them a treatment or two and then they see the difference, that is so rewarding to see.
Yeah. I think our patients don't understand beauty. They think it's about structure and wrinkles, but they don't get that youth and health is good skin.
Yes.
So educating them about that's really important.
Yeah.
Managing people was something that was always the most challenging for me. How have you transitioned from just worrying about yourself to now having to try and get the best out of the people that are in your clinic supporting you?
Yeah. I think employing people who mirror you in a way, like they're not going to be you, but they have the same values that you want and that you want your patients to experience as well. So when they come in, they're getting that Aisling experience, or they're getting the same consult that they would get with me from my other nurse that's in the practice. So that was a big thing, that I set time out when I took on a nurse, and I sat down, I made her sit in on like lots of consults that we did. I showed her how things worked, and this is how I like things to be. And, you know, it's really worked really well for her as well. But also having catch-ups every week, understanding where she's at, what does she want to learn, where do you see yourself going, you know, being open and honest as well, I think is really important, you know. And, you know, everyone's human, you know, people make mistakes. I make mistakes. I'm not, you know, I'm not saying I'm perfect in any way. This is all new to me. I'm learning. So if there's anything that needs to be brought to my attention, or you think I'm doing bad or really badly, please tell me, because I don't want our relationship to suffer as well, and I want you to be happy in the workplace. So that's really important to me. The same goes for my front of house. You know, they're the first person that my patients meet when they come into the clinic. So they need to be happy. They need to be happy in their workspace as well. And just, you know, I think that catch-ups and like sitting there, being present with them, understanding where they're at and figuring out what I can do for them to help them makes a difference, yeah.
You don't have to give us names. Have you had any fallings out with staff who have left, or any situations that you want to tell us?
No, I haven't actually, luckily, probably, and I hope not to, but I think I am a very open and honest person. I say it as it is, and, you know, I take feedback well, like, you know, and most of people, when I give them their feedback, I do it in a respectful way. It's not criticising, but it's more just like constructive criticism, if it may be, and it's like, okay, we're going to support you and let's work on that together. Or, you know, what are you struggling with? Okay, I struggled with that too. I'm going to be open with you. I did as well. Like, I didn't know everything. I didn't know what that was, and okay, what can I do to help you? So yeah.
It's nice and supportive.
Yeah. So obviously the industry's changing quite a lot. We've got a lot of regulations that are tightening things up, making it harder to advertise. We've spoken about a lot on the podcast, but in addition to that has been the increasing competition, right? So we've got more people who are offering similar services. Patients are becoming more savvy, more picky with who they're choosing to be their provider. Plus we've also got the economic, you know, uncertainty, and it's a little bit tough for some people. So how have you responded to those changing market conditions in terms of competition and pricing? Yeah,
so I think when the TGA with the advertising, that was a big blow to a lot of people in the industry, because now you can't really advertise like what you do and what you're good at, you know. So how do people know to come to you? A lot of patients who come to me are word of mouth, which I'm like so grateful for. I think that's a really good business if you have someone that really likes you, and then they start talking about you out in the community and building that way. Navigating the difficulties in the industry is always going to be hard. You're always going to be navigating something. Regulations are there, and I think they're good.
So last year, 2025, at least what we experienced was people had a bit of tough year, inflation, competition, obviously regulatory issues as well here in Australia. So was it a tough year for you? And what's the start of 2026 like? It's March the 4th now. Where do you see this year going financially for you guys? And what are your strategies to build on that?
I haven't bought into all the hype of like the new products and everything. I'm kind of sitting back, waiting, seeing what takes. Did bring in Rejuren, you know, there's a new one that's out now, Sunicus.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't bring that in, and I didn't bring in Profila Structura either. I'm kind of just sitting back, waiting, seeing what's actually needed. Like, have I got everything in my toolbox to do what I need to treat my patients? And yes, I do. So do I need more injectables? No. I felt like I needed a device, you know, last year. So I went ahead and bought a new device for the clinic. And moving into this year, that's been an amazing addition to the clinic. And most of my patients come to me for me and like what I do and the skin side of things, and then complementing with the injectables. So I do see it moving that way this year, or even in the next 5 years. I think that's where I see it, the industry.
So you mentioned you got a new device.
Yes.
What'd you get, and how did you kind of make the decision that that was the right one for you?
We have a couple of devices in clinic, and we had a very old Gemini, which is very old vascular.
Gosh, that's older than me. Okay.
And so I knew that I needed a new vascular, definitely needed a new vascular. As I mentioned before, I treat a lot of problematic skin, so I wanted a device that had several different platforms. And I had done research over 18 months to 2 years actually on the Alma platforms, and got in touch with them and went and had a play around, had a little look, did my research, obviously went to other device companies, see what they were offering as well, and ended up essentially going with the Alma Harmony, which is great. It's a multi-platform device and I utilise it every day, and I think it works really well in the practice.
So what have you got on that? Because you can sort of build on that platform. So what toys have you got on it?
I have everything except the erbium laser, because I have a CO2. So I felt like I'm confident with CO2. We don't need the erbium just yet. You can always add as well as you're going on. So if I feel like we need that,
it's like Lego. You just
exactly. Yeah, but it's a great device. It's been working really well. I haven't had to market it because I've already do skin. So, you know, when people think about getting a new device into clinic, it's like, okay, well, what do your patients need? And yes, I thought of all that, but I've also already do that. So it was more that like they didn't know what device they're getting when they come in. So a device is a device at the end of the day to these people. They don't know any different.
So with so much choice of devices, what made you say, okay, this is the one for me, given all the other companies available?
Because you could have the vascular, the pigment, you know, the acne side of it as well, like the erbium class. It was all inbuilt in one. I didn't have the space for 3 or 4 different devices. And I had a YAG and I had a CO2 and I had other smaller devices as well that I was like, okay, this one fits the bill. This is what we need.
Did you do the whole launch party thing, or did you just sort of slot it in because you were, you know, offering those services
brought
already?
It in. Obviously advertised it on Instagram because it looks lovely and it's shiny and it's new. But no, I didn't do any launch party or anything. No.
Fair enough. I think it's a lot easier when you have already an existing healthy skin practice. And it's interesting what you said around the patients didn't really care about what the device was. They just want the result. And I see a lot of people falling into that trap. They sell a device, they sell a product rather than a result. Which is kind of interesting, and then somehow, you know, injectors too, they get into trouble with the products they have on their shelves because they've been focusing too much on the product rather than the end result.
Those photos on Instagram, and everyone's going to hate me when I say this, when they do the big reveal with the bow around the laser, I'm like, oh my God, this is so cringy. It's not about you or the machine, it's about your patients and solving their problems. So I feel like the message is often wrong when they do that kind of stuff. But anyway, it's exciting to buy a $200,000 machine, I guess.
And have you found, because for me, there's a lot of great devices on the marketplace. We've got some really good providers. For me, it's been about finding the right company to partner with.
And the right support as well.
So have you found, like, what were you kind of, what boxes did you need ticked to choose Alma as the company that you wanted to work with, just from, a customer service perspective and support? Because they're kind of partnering with you, really, in some ways.
I didn't know. I literally got their leaflet and I sat at home and I was doing my own research on it before I even engage with them, because the minute you engage with them, they're on you. And you don't have time to think, because you're like, okay, you're buying it now. You're buying it today or next week, you know, so it's constant. So it's more, you sit with what you need. Like I was making a list of like, what type patients am I currently seeing? What can't I treat because I'm limited? And then kind of seeing what devices out there. And like, there is other devices, don't get me wrong, but a lot of them only just have that one platform, and that's not enough, you know, because I was like, well, if I'm paying, yes, upwards of 200,000+ on a device, I want to make sure that it works, you know, well for my patients and who I'm seeing and who I'm treating.
Yeah. I'm going to use this opportunity to plug our new app IA community. I don't know if we've told you this yet. So partners, if you're listening, there will be a space on our app where partners, so you know, laser companies and whoever, can live and have your own little space, and rather than chasing people in their clinics and trying to shove this stuff down their throats, you'll have a platform to market, to showcase, to promote, to educate, and you know, just be there, 24/7 presence. So reach out to us. The information will be at the bottom of the podcast.
Absolutely.
But Alma have been very supportive, like as well with the training. You know, they come in, they train you, but like you do need to have your knowledge on like laser technology, you know. I think like you need to do some sort of a course, or like I said, I was mentored at the time on all these devices that were in the clinic. You know, you can't just decide, I'm going to get this in and off you go. You need to be able to know what you're doing.
Can I ask you, did you inherit anything from the previous owner that wasn't so strong? Was there anything that you really had to put into place immediately or action? There was like branding, social media, design, repositioning the brand, elevating it, you know, all of those kind of things. There hadn't been anything done for a couple of years, so I felt like our presence there was quite weak, and so it needed to be more consistent. So, you know, engaging in a new social media team has been valuable for me, because I don't have to think about that side of things. They look after all of that, because although you get word of mouth referrals, you also need to be present, and you need to be able to showcase what you can do. And to a degree, with staying within mind, I couldn't navigate all the TGA regulations at the time last year as well. I was like, oh my God, I just need someone to look after this for me. While also being across it, but you know, that's been valuable. They come in every couple of weeks, take some fresh new content for me and just shell it out, and I can actually just focus on what I need to do. Well, tell us about that, because a lot of businesses struggle with socials and marketing. You've obviously outsourced again, which is great. It's not your forte. So what do they actually do? How do you make content?
Well, I engaged with a creative team way back when I first started out to create my logo and my branding or whatever, and she was literally a girl who was working out on her own. Now she's built a big agency and has several team behind her, so you know, it's really lovely to see her transition. I've stuck with her all this time because I think what she does is amazing. But yeah, I reached out to her. She was one of the first people I reached out to actually as well when I was taking over. I was like, okay, we need a complete brand refresh here, because when I was taking over, I wanted to do it all. I wanted it all to look seamless, but I also wanted to go, this is it. This is from where it ends to where it now restarts, because although I was taking the name, I didn't come up with that name, but I needed to make it feel like it was mine, or I've done something to this and repositioned that brand, elevated it a little bit. There's a little piece of my heart in that building in Paddington, I'll tell you. So, you know, I wanted to make sure that came across to patients as well. And so brought them on, and they're great. They come in every 8 weeks, as I said, and they come into the clinic with all their gear, set out 2 hours. They have a complete run sheet, tell me what to do, tell me where to stand, tell me what to say. And then they provide the feed to me to review and go through once it's all done, and there's about 8 weeks of stuff there to review, and it's all preempted over the next, and like obviously you can add and take out and change and do whatever you need to do, and obviously at the end of the day the ball stops with you, so you have to make sure that the content is okay to be put out and that it's within the TGA regulations. And I think outsourcing that has been great, because do
you mind me, do you want to give them a shout out? What's the name of the company?
Recreative.
Where and who
they're
do you deal
in
with?
Sydney. They're in Sydney. Maria owns it. She's amazing. She's got a great team of girls. Emily looks after me and my social media, but they all interlink. I also got them to do my website. So shout out to Vanessa as well for doing that. You know, it's really good to have people in this industry who know what you do and really do it well and understand what you want and where you want to position your brand. And they were all about your brand voice and you know, all of that. So that was really helpful to me as well. And even now going forward, someone asked me what my brand voice. I was like, oh hang on a second till I pull up the email. What is it? You know, like, you know, they kind of help you what your colouring should look like. And
there you go. We just got you a discount on your next bill.
Hopefully.
How much do they charge you? Just seriously, like, what's the budget for this?
Yeah, it is a big outlay. Like, it's about $2,500 a month.
Okay.
But for that, I think what I get is it's worth it.
So about 25 grand a year, something like that.
I think that's the going rate for a company who actually knows what they're doing and giving you effective, regular content. I think that's the going rate.
Yeah.
And how do you judge how effective the campaigns have been?
I'm getting feedback from patients going, oh, you know, I've seen that I didn't realize you did that, or you know, wow, okay, you know, so that's reaching them. I'm not concerned about followers. I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned about the clinic as a medical space and patients being informed as best they can about treatments that we offer, and who's going to look after them, because, you know, you don't just walk in somewhere and decide, oh, I don't know who they are. You know, you need to be present. You need to be, who are they going to see, what do you offer in the clinic, and when they come in, we can actually talk about injectables then, or we can talk about that in the clinic and not really online, but they get the idea that, okay, maybe they do this as well.
How have you guys, I guess, position yourself in the market? Do you call yourself premium? Are you boutique? Like, how do you create that feel?
I think where we are, if you ever drive by our clinic, we're on off the beaten track in Paddington, down by the Four in Hand Hotel. It's like a little
it's like a village
Victorian
feel, right?
house, and like no one knows where we are. Like, there's ample parking, which is great for people. But I do say it's a little boutique, but it's small, it's quaint, it's beautiful. I love it. My heart is there. You know, it's green, so it reminds me of home. The building. But yeah, it's lovely. People come in, they get a sense of calm when they come into the clinic. It's quiet, it's not busy, it's not rushed. Everyone gets the time, and I really want to make sure that every patient feels heard and seen when they come into the clinic, and that they're not rushed into doing something. And yeah, I think I've personally done that really well.
Great.
How have you set your prices to, I guess, reflect where you're trying to position yourself?
I think you always need to look at like what you offer, your skill that you offer, what do you offer, and the other clinic down the road offers it probably too, but they can offer the same service, but do they offer the same knowledge or the expertise behind it, and do they really know what they're doing with you know, the injectable, or you know, are they assessing the face how you assess the face? Probably not, but they're coming to you. You have to remember, your patient's coming to you because they like what you do. So it's, you know, I think we were talking about that the other week, actually, myself and Jake. But it's about looking at your patient and, you know, sitting down with them and understanding what do they want, how can we help them, and then someone might be cheaper, but are they getting the same service?
So would you say you're kind of like middle of the road or on the higher end?
I know, we're probably on the higher end.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Gotta pay those Paddington bills.
I think maybe what you were also trying to say was the experience. So it's about how you make people feel.
I honestly hold their hands, and I know, like, that
literally or figuratively?
Figuratively. All right. But, you know, it's a journey. Like, all my patients that I see are on treatment plans. So it's not like just coming in for a treatment. They're with me, and they're with me for life. I have some patients that are with me since I started 7 years ago, and they just don't go. And whatever that may be, obviously they're getting great results, or they like the treatments, but they also probably value me and like me as a person, which I think is really good as well. But they come in and we see them all the way through. I'm there through everything, like breakups, happy times, sad times, you know it all. You're not just an injector, you're not just a skin person, you're a counsellor, you're everything else in between.
The glorified hairdresser, I call it.
Oh, yeah. And I'm burnt out. Like, you do get burnt out.
I'm going to boost us a little bit. Aisling did the Tom Van Eyck masterclass with me last weekend, and Tom's first slide was quite good. He said, you know, we're in a really weird industry. We have strangers calling our clinic who've done some research and found out about us online. They kind of know nothing, and they lie in a bed and they trust us to put needles in their face, and they pay us handsomely. It's a very weird dynamic to get a patient to that point. And so once you have won their trust, it is strange for them to leave unless something disastrous goes wrong. As long as you do your job, you think about their journey, you do good results, and you admit when things haven't gone well, I think they'll stay with you. I mean, do you agree with that?
100%. And you do it well. yeah, they'll stay with you 100%. But it's trust. It's building that trust with them as well, and that, you know, a lot of patients will sit there and be like, I like how you approach things, and I like how it's multidimensional, and it's not just, oh, this is a quick fix. Yeah. I'm very honest from the get-go. The minute they sit down with the consult, I'm like, this is not one and done. You know, this is a treatment plan. I don't do that. If that's what you're looking for, there is other clinics that are welcome to do that, but I'm on this journey with you. I take you through it. I document really well. I make sure that I know everything about them. You know, some of my consults could be 45 minutes to an hour. I haven't even touched their face, but it's about understanding what they want as well. You know, what's their budget like too? You know, don't be starting talking about all these treatments that they potentially can't afford. If it's just skincare, it's just skincare. Let's talk about that. Let's get them up and going with that. And then eventually they might be able to afford it. They might trust you more as time goes on, and then you can work your way back from there. I think it's really important for other people in this industry to sit back and understand you're not, like, stop selling a product. You're an experienced professional. Take your time. Sit down, understand your patient, and then get going.
Yeah. I'll just clarify what I said. It wasn't to denigrate or say that what you guys do is like a hairdresser. But by the way, there's nothing wrong with being a hairdresser. But I just look at the number of injectors that just sit there and they hand someone a mirror and go, tell me what's wrong with your face. And they just take orders and they chase lines.
Yeah. There's
no relationship. But when I look at the strength that, and I've said this so many times, the strength that women have with their hairdresser is just like, it's unbreakable. And so that's what I'm saying, that the level of that relationship needs to be what you know what
we know what you meant.
But anyway, so let's talk about maybe the future a little bit. So have you got an exit strategy? Have you thought about what you eventually want to do with the business? How big do you want to grow it? What does it look like in the future?
I have to keep some things to myself. I do. I definitely have an exit plan. I definitely have ideas of where I see myself going. Obviously, that all really depends on the way the regulations go as well. I do see myself furthering my own education more, definitely in the next, if that becomes available to me, I'll definitely do that. Not to become a doctor, but definitely, you know,
a different pathway.
For sure. But yeah, you do need to think of the long-term plan here. Like, I don't want to be working and injecting for the rest of my life. I need to make sure that, like, okay, when is it good enough that I can take a step back eventually? Like, where does that look like, or how does that look like? You know, you'd be silly to not think of that, because you can't just work yourself into the ground for the rest of your life either. You need to be thinking, like, okay, retirement plan.
Yeah, spending time with your kids.
Spending time with my kids, having more kids. You know, what does that look like?
Yeah.
Do you enjoy mentoring, teaching?
Love it. And I definitely
something
think
that you
that's
could
something I'd love
sort of wheel into?
Yeah, but, you know, I'm not, and, you know, if there is companies out there that are looking, but fair enough, but I'm not there yet. I don't have the time for that. And, you know, I've been approached in the past to do different things, but I'm not ready there. Like, I have my own things to work on. And I think understanding that as well, how much time you can give to other people, you know, so you need to really inward look for a while and just shut out the noise, stay in your own lane and keep going. And then, when maybe down the line, that might be something I'd love to do.
Awesome.
Educate, train, mentor. You know, I'd love to be able to help people, like how I got a break in the industry down the line.
Yeah. Has being a business owner changed your injecting style or your attitude to risk or anything like that?
No. I do think that could happen, where you're like, oh my God, I'm struggling this month. I need to do more toxin, or I need to do more filler, or things like that. You lose patience. You lose patience if you start in that. That's not what I'm about. And I think that I just, you know, ride the waves, and, you know, you'll always have good months and you'll always have bad months, and you'll have things that work well and things that don't, and it's all a learning curve. It's been a very steep learning curve this last year, but, you know, I'm very excited for the challenge, excited for the growth, even to see myself growing personally and professionally myself is quite exciting.
Awesome. Well, I have no more questions. I think we've exhausted you, really. We put you in the hot seat for a while.
It's been very nice to get to know you. I've seen you twice in a week. First real life last week at the masterclass, and now on a podcast. But you've been great. I'm really impressed with what you're doing. It's great to see your growth from an injector to a business owner. Yeah. And we look forward to seeing the next chapter on your new pathway, maybe.
Thanks for sharing. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Aisling.
We hope you enjoyed that episode, guys. To stay up to date with our latest news and episodes, follow us on Instagram, and we're now on TikTok.
You can also now watch our full video episodes on YouTube and Spotify. So if you like what we do, please give us a like and subscribe. Please also consider joining our Patreon for invaluable business and injectable education. Get access to our global community of like-minded professionals, hints and tips videos, bonus podcast content, and more.
All of our social links, Patreon, and contact information are in the show notes below, and we'll see you in the next episode.